Every year, I always dread when this week comes. This week is the week of Tazria Metzora, the most obscure portions of the Torah that deal with things that we never had to deal with in life, or that at least I had never dealt with in life. Strange diseases and quarantining the people who have these strange diseases. Now, this was the case until, you might guess, relatively recently. Now, we all have a whole new relationship with unexpected disease and quarantine. So, among other things, the fact that there is a sense of quarantine already back in the Torah tells us of this balance, that there's a balance between individual rights, which are celebrated in the Jewish tradition, that each individual is supposed to be assessed on their own merits, and the common good. And it's not that everything always is defaulted to do whatever is right for the greatest number, or do whatever is right for an individual, and it doesn't matter what effect that has on the majority. It always seeks a balance. And that's evidence in that there are moments that in the Torah where it speaks of if one has a specific disease that's communicable, that the individual should quarantine, and on their way out of town, it says in a strange moment that the individual should shout tameh tameh, should cry out as they're walking along the street, I'm unclean, I'm unclean. And the great commentator Rashi says, well, this is to make sure that everyone knows, sort of to get out of the way. But another one of the commentators, Bechor Shor, points out a piece from the sages that says that he's really doing this so that everybody who hears can beg God's mercy for this individual who's suffering. And that there are a few things that are important there. One, remember, in the Torah's world, prayer is something that is going to have an actual effect. This isn't an idle activity. And two, the tradition is that if somebody has a horrible disease, if it happens in the Torah, because they deserved it. In our world, we know that this happens randomly, as it were. It doesn't matter if you deserve a disease or not. You risk getting it. In the Torah, there's a sense that people deserve it. And even so, they ask mercy. So this is all the more so. All the more so this tells something for us. We should seek to help all of those who are in difficult situations and are negatively affected by illness. This is something that has never been more important than during this time of pandemic. And we're not supposed to, the underlying thing of when the Torah says, but when the commentators say beg mercy, we're not supposed to judge the people who have it. It's not about judging their moral fitness. Leave that for another time. In a time when somebody is suffering and ill, all we do is seek to help. During this time of sickness and quarantine, let's remember to try and help when we can. We'll save the moral judgments for after the fact. We all recognize that we're here to help each other. Shabbat Shalom.